Welcome to The Glitter Effect, a podcast dedicated to shining a light on the movers, shakers, change makers, and all-round living legends of our communities who are making a real difference. Today's guest on The Glitter Effect is Emma Rose Parsons, a mum, a psychologist, and the inspiring woman behind Mountain to Melbourne, a powerful movement changing the way our local hospitals care for children. Emma Rose knows firsthand the impact that fear and anxiety can have on young patients. As a psychologist working with kids and teens, and as a mum herself, she understands how overwhelming and frightening hospital visits can be, especially for neurodivergent children. Sadly, these feelings aren't just uncomfortable, they can also make medical outcomes worse. And that's why Emma Rose is taking action. Earlier this year, she ran over 100 kilometres in just 12 hours from Healesville Hospital, Victoria, to Eastland Town Square in Ringwood, Victoria, passing through the Anglis, Maroondah and Box Hill hospitals. Her mission was to raise vital funds for Eastern Health to ensure her local hospitals have the tools and resources they need to reduce anxiety and improve care for the more than 36,000 children they treat each year. While our world-class children's hospitals receive major funding, local facilities are often left behind, yet they serve just as many kids in need. Emma Rose's determination is a shining example of what it means to turn compassion into action and what can happen when one person decides that local kids deserve better. This episode is all about courage, community, and the power of putting one foot in front of the other, even when the road is long. Emma Rose, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to The Glitter Effect.
Thank you, Kate. So good to see you and so good to be here.
Thank you so much. I know you're busy, and I will let our listeners know that Emma and I actually do go back a few years. We actually have children in the same school, but I have always been in awe of Emma Rose's energy, her passion, and her commitment with everything that she does. So I am so excited to share her story with you all today. So we're going to jump straight in. Emma Rose, can you take us back to the very beginning and explain to us what is Mountain to Melbourne and what inspired you to come up with this incredible concept?
Oh, it's a good question. So a couple of years ago, I was sitting at work and I was eating my lunch and we were talking about some of the big fundraisers that occur for other big children's hospitals in our area. And I don't know why, but I just didn't put two and two together. And I didn't pick up that actually that fundraising, which is very, very much needed and goes to a really great cause, I just didn't realize that it didn't go to hospitals in general. And I don't know why I didn't realize that. I don't know, it didn't really occur to me. And so at that point in time, I kind of had a bit of hang on a sec moment because I've got children who love to mountain bike and BMX and are frequent flyers at our local hospitals. And I had a bit of a moment where I kind of thought, hang on, what happens to our local kids when they just go local? I mean, we tend to have children when they've had sporting injuries or they've got a fever that just can't get controlled. They go local. They don't they don't go to the other side of town to get medical support unless there's sort of something really specific or nuanced that's needed. But it kind of meant that they weren't actually getting any of the resources that they needed just here in our own backyards. And so that's kind of why I thought, gee whiz, if I'm going to try and A, raise awareness and B, raise some funds to actually get some of the items that they need to be able to make hospital visits less scary and less worrying for our kids, I was going to need to do something that was a bit silly. You know, like it had to be something a bit kind of crazy if people were going to sort of take notice. So and be willing to share their hard-earned cash. So that was when I did my first Mountain to Melbourne, and that was 180 kilometres from the top of Lake Mountain, actually into Fed Square for the
Okay.
first.
And what year was that?
So that was 2024.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, really recent.
180. Now, this isn't something, fill us in, Emma Rose. This isn't something you just woke up and said you do. There's no way I would wake up and say I'm going to just run 180 kilometres. I'd love to. What you do more than just have crazy ideas. What got you to doing that? What do you do in your
Well,
spare time?
my spare time. I don't know if I'd call it spare time. I do slice out a good chunk of my week to do ultra trail running. So that's one of my loves. I love our local trail community. We have an incredible Victorian ultra running community that's really passionate. And to be honest, there's no way I could have done that first event without that support of our local runners. So, and, a lot of those local runners are also parents who've also got children who've been in the local hospital. So that's kind of, it was a nice tie-in. But yeah, it's my favorite thing to do, go running far with great humans.
So presumably 2024 was a success. Talk me through that, and then talk me through how you then ended up saying, I'm going to do that one again.
I don't know how I get these ideas sometimes, Kate. So 2024 was a huge success. I think we raised like $46,000 or something like that, which was quite an amazing feat given the fact that it was the first time we'd done it. We hadn't done it with any sort of major sponsors or anything like that. It was very, very grassroots. I started at 5:00 at night and we ran through the night and then all through the day until 7:00. I arrived at Fed Square that first year. And I think the thing that was really incredible was not just the community and how it impacted them, but also how it impacted the hospital staff.
Yep.
So there were numerous staff members who ran sections of the run with me. We had nurses, we had some of our GPs, we had some specialist doctors who were, the people you see in intensive care. We had behind the scenes people. We had all different staff from the hospitals who were so excited that something was sort of local happening for our local pediatrics. So they just wanted to get on board.
That's nice.
That was really awesome. And one of the things about the run is we all wore tutus. And so,
fun.
Seeing these incredible specialist doctors out there in their tutus running along with me was just, it was really fun. So we went via the hospitals on the way to Fed Square, I think is the other important thing, which really meant that we could stop off at the hospitals and check in and say hi. And we had a little celebration out the front of each hospital before we kind of made our way to the finish line. But, seeing how much it inspired the doctors and the nurses and just the teams in the hospital and the local community just got behind it, we decided we had to go again. We had to do it again. So we did it in March of this year in 2025. Yeah. And so hence 2 years in a row now.
Which is amazing. And I suppose for, like you say, the doctors, the nurses, the staff at the hospitals, it's a way for them to be seen and heard too. It's without them saying it themselves. It's you're the voice for them, which is it's a beautiful thing. And it's nice to see that something a bit crazy has got, some attention. So talk me through. So obviously it got the attention it needed, and then you obviously slept on that, recovered, and said, I'm never doing that again. No.
I actually think I did say those words. I was like, oh my gosh, that was – because the first year was really, really tough. It was torrential rain all through the night, and by the last 20 or so kilometres, we were a slow slog. Like my body was done. I think I underestimated pounding concrete pavement for that long. It's not my usual way of being, but yeah. But then it was such a success, we decided to do it again in 2025. And then in 2025, we were super lucky in that we had Eastland come on board. And they were just fantastic. They created an amazing finish line space at the town square, really supported with advertising, whatnot. And we had Mazda in Ringwood came on board, and they were fantastic.
Amazing.
Giving us like crew cars, and we had the plan group come on board, and they were fantastic at donating a really big chunk. So we had some really amazing support that next year.
Which is great, and that just proves that there is something in it, isn't there? When the momentum starts building like that, you're onto something. And do you have an amount that you have raised from this one as well? Dollar amount?
This year was bigger. So I think in total we're sitting over 110,000
wow.
For the two events now. And
incredible. Yeah. Well done.
Oh.
And what sort of things does that money then go to, are you hoping?
So far we've bought we've paid for the last part of an ultrasound machine that essentially is a tool that they use in hospital settings when small children come in, they've got teeny tiny little veins. It's really hard to get IVs in the first time when they're so little. Kids also hate having IVs put in. And so they've got a brand new IV machine, ultrasound machine, which assists the nurses and the doctors to be able to find the IV first time. So
Beautiful.
that's really helpful.
That's great.
We've been able to organise a number of pairs, and I can't tell you the actual number, Kate. I think it might be even 5 or 6 pairs now of hospital-grade virtual reality goggles. So they are incredible for when children are frightened of any procedures they might need to have. They can go into these virtual reality worlds, and there is so much incredible research that actually not only does it help the kids to feel less stress going into these procedures, but actually they recover faster and they can get home quicker if they're distracted and then they're going into operations or procedures calmly. It gets them out the other side quicker as well. So we're getting kids, we're doing these things that are helping kids to get home faster.
That's great.
Yeah.
And also, I suppose you're just making me think there is that we put, in the medical world, we put adult things on these kids, and adults find these quite confronting and scary, and so for a little kid, it's very frightening. So absolutely make it more relevant. I think that's incredible. Well done. That's so good.
Oh, I mentioned the other thing we did get is sensory carts. So sensory carts for those hospitals, for the Inglis, for Maroondah and for Box Hill with, fidget toys and weighted items.
Oh, yeah.
Kids can just have something to kind of keep their mind occupied, to help their bodies to regulate when they're feeling distressed.
Again, simple things, but gee, they go a long way.
Yeah.
Go a long way. So amazing. What do you hope people will take away from Mountain to Melbourne? What are you hoping will come from it?
Oh, look, a couple of different things, I guess, Kate. One is just awareness that our local kids really deserve to have great care, and that there are really simple strategies that we can utilise to reduce fear and pain and anxiety in children. Yeah. But these just aren't funded by our governments. I mean, there's not enough funding for some big medical equipment. There's certainly not enough funding for things like virtual reality goggles or fidget carts, you know what I mean? These sorts of things, just there's not the capacity for all of those things to get funded through government.
Yeah.
So awareness is probably number one. I think number two is the sense of community. It has been absolutely extraordinary how many people have raised their hands and said, hey, I'm happy to help, whether it's delivering pamphlets or, printing something or organising something. People are just generous. They want to help in our community. I feel like we've got an incredible number of people who are really happy to help that sometimes aren't exactly sure how to go about it, but really want to be involved in making our communities better. And I think that's exciting.
That's good. And that was actually one of my next questions, but you've kind of answered it. But obviously it is more than you. And there's a team, but the team is obviously building. Did you initially have people on board to say, I need you on board to help me with X, Y, Z, and then people have just come on, or have just people come on organically as the journey has grown? A
little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. I mean, there was probably a few people who early on I sort of asked specifically if they could help with this, that or the other, and who were really amazingly happy to do so. And then I think as there became more vibe and more energy and more momentum, more people just sort of wanted to put their hand up and say, oh, I'd really like to come along and be part of that. I'd like to meet you along the way. I'd like to run a section, or I'd really like to hand some pamphlets out or take some photos. People just started to put their hands up and just wanted to be part of it, which is really nice. So some of it was me going out and asking people, and then a lot of it was people coming and saying, hey, how can I be part of this, which is brilliant.
Love that. That's perfect. And that's like what you say, that's community, isn't it? It's beautiful. Yeah. So what was we know these things just don't happen overnight. It's a journey to get to the start line even. What was the biggest hurdle that you didn't see coming, and how did you overcome it?
I think that one is actually a really simple answer, and the answer is time.
Yeah.
I'm a full-time working mum.
Yep.
2 very busy boys. And when you're also trying to do your normal day-to-day full-time job, plus parent, plus all the other things, look after your own extended family and whatnot, other sort of requirements that you have, adding a big project like this onto the top of that can be, it's exciting and it's fun, but it's also really, really hard to find time and energy and maybe even capacity to kind of do all the things that need to happen. So I would say the biggest challenge really was finding the time and energy to do like the marketing and like the sharing the word as well as all the training. I mean, the training was hard, don't get me wrong, but it was something that was known to me. Like I know how to do the training. I don't know how to do all the other stuff. Like that's been a really big learning curve, you know, getting a funding platform going or getting like a uniform made. Like that's all been something I had to learn all of those extra things on top of everything else that I was trying to do.
That's huge. And I suppose you don't think about those things when all you're trying to do is do something for the better good too, isn't it? It's a lot more involved. And kudos to you, because a lot of people will have that idea, then find out it's so much more and then go, it's too hard in the too hard basket. But, you know, you've taken it by the horns and added your own sparkle to it and gone to the next level, which is unbelievably impressive. I'm so impressed. But so on those tough days, like with planning and training, how did you keep yourself motivated? Because there would be days where you just go, this is too hard, and would be the overwhelm would hit. How did you get through those?
Couple of things. I think one is remembering your why. You've got to have a really juicy why. Like if you don't think it's worth it, you won't do it. So if you can remember why you started it in the first place, that it's a lot easier. I just like to think that there'll be lots of children in hospitals who will have a little sigh of relief because there's something that's going to make their journey in hospital a little bit less stressful, and therefore that will have a ripple effect on their parents and their siblings and that whole community, because the ripple effect is powerful. But then you use the word motivation, and I actually think in these kind of contexts, motivation can only get you so far. I think sometimes you just need to go back to discipline. You know, I know what I want to set out. I've set a goal. I want to achieve this thing. I'm not going to achieve it unless I'm disciplined to get up, even when it's pouring with rain and it's freezing cold and it's windy and it's sideways. And, you know, sometimes you just need to be disciplined to kind of go, I don't want to go, but I'm just going to do it because my why is still valid and still important. And the third thing I'd say is make sure you've got the right people around you. You know, I have an amazing family. I have fantastic friends that sometimes would even do things like pick up my kids from school or drop them off so that I could get in a gross, horrible, big 70K training run or something silly like that. So make sure you've got your tribe around you. And I feel like that sounds a bit corny, really. But
no, but it does. There's that. It takes a village in every sense, doesn't it? And doesn't matter what you're doing, it takes a village. There's a reason that's a phrase. And this is exactly why.
And we have amazing community members who want to help. Sometimes I think just, you know, when someone asks, you know, someone else, can they help with something? I think people more often than not are grateful to be able to help.
Absolutely. And also it's a big thing asking for help too.
That too.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Really, but it's great. Now, what were the highest highs? There would be heaps of these, I'm sure.
I think running along and seeing the number go up on the screen, and just watching this number go up as I'm running along, going, "Oh my golly, I can't believe that number is going up so high."
As in the dollar number.
Yeah, just so many people were. So I had live tracking so people could watch me run.
Nice.
As they were watching me run, people were like donating more and more. And that was really cool because it kind of was a nice sort of number symbolic thing that told me how much the community were literally as well as figuratively kind of buying into this project. I think the day that I got to go to hospital and see the ultrasound machine in the flesh, like this is a real thing. I get to like actually see it for realsies. That was pretty incredible. This year running through the finish line at Town Square in Ringwood, and seeing so many people in all of the Mountain to Melbourne colours and like the actual art that Eastland had made, and just like the fanfare was just so fun. It was a really rewarding experience. Oh, there's so many.
Was it emotional? Did you get emotional at the end?
I did. I didn't want to. I didn't want to get emotional. I was trying to be like all like held together and whatnot, but it was teary because, you know, you have all these people who are there to celebrate something that's so important to you, and they're sharing this energy and this vision and this excitement, and that's a little bit overwhelming. Like, you know, so many people so excited and energized over a project that you're so excited about and energized about too. Oh, just that shared, you know, joyfulness and excitement and energy. Like, it was really quite powerful.
That's beautiful. And presumably, again, I'm assuming you're now in the planning stages for something else.
Yes, there might be a meeting later this week.
So watch this space.
Watch this space. 2026. Let's see what it looks like.
Fantastic. And I mean, obviously the Glitter Effect podcast, it's called that because I firmly believe that everybody is a glitter king and queen and has their glitter to spread with purpose and heart when they find their purpose and can spread it with heart. Who would you say has been your glitter king or queen, or kings or queens, along your journey? Someone who's inspired you or influenced you to where you are today?
I'd have so many. I feel incredibly lucky, actually, to have so many. I have a very quiet king, which is my husband, who usually gives me a beautiful soft smile and often a little giggle when I come up with yet another silly project idea or something insanely big, you know. You know, honey, I've decided I'm going to run 180 Ks and raise money for kids. And you're just like, oh yeah, here she goes again. And it's not said with any, you know, there's no, he's genuinely delighted for me when I do those things. And so that's a very quiet little glitter king in the background.
Nice.
Dr. Tanya Noonan, who is one of my work colleagues, who is a head of pediatric at Eastern Health, she would be one of my glitter queens. That is a human who cares so profoundly for the outcomes of our children in our local hospitals, and genuinely inspired this whole project to start. My own kids who have been in the hospital setting and are willing to talk about it openly, about what it was like, and, you know, their experiences of having to have medicines and injections and things that are just unfun, you know?
And they're primary school age too, yeah?
Yeah, they're primary. Yeah, little tackers. And then I have to say the general running community, our local running community, just how many people were willing to put their hand up, even if they didn't really know me, was just extraordinary. It nice. Showed me how much bigger it was than I realised.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, but when you find your purpose and you own that purpose, everything falls into place. And I think, you know, a lot of people struggle to find their purpose, but they will find it eventually. And this is what this whole podcast series is all about, is people who have found their purpose, and it's just to inspire them. But once you do, you find all these beautiful people who have a similar purpose as you. And I think that's the glitter effect, right?
Absolutely.
Right there. And it's beautiful. Now, tying up the chat, just one thing before we finish.
Yeah.
If somebody today was listening to this and they wanted to spread their glitter in one simple way that they could today, what would the best way you say they could do that? Have you got any advice for anyone? Something that's easy to do.
Oh, that's such a good question, Kate.
I've caught you off guard as well.
You caught me off guard. Do you know what I think it is? I think it doesn't need to be extraordinary to spread glitter. A little bit of glitter goes a really long way, as my mother would say when I used to do lots of glitter projects. You know, a little bit of glitter goes a really long way. So simply holding the door for someone, letting someone in the line, in the queue at the traffic lights, I think sometimes we feel like the only way to spread glitter is to do it in a huge way. And I totally get Mountain to Melbourne was kind of big. But I actually think for some people, the little glitter can be just as impactful and starts its own little ripple effect. So don't forget the small sprinklings of glitter.
I love that. That's perfect. Now, if anyone, and I can't believe there wouldn't be anyone, if anyone wants to find out more about what you've got next or about what you've done, how do they do that, Emma Rose?
Probably the easiest would be on Instagram, Mountain to Melbourne Instagram page. And if not, then the other way to do it would be to look up, and you could just Google this probably, the Eastern Health Foundation, and then put in Mountain to Melbourne, and you could get a little bit of information about what we've done previously. But anything that's upcoming will always be on Instagram.
Amazing. Emma Rose, thank you so much for joining me on The Glitter Effect and so generously sharing your story, your purpose and your heart. And my golly, it is a big heart you shared with us today. Your passion behind Mountain to Melbourne is nothing short of inspiring. The way you are turning your knowledge as a psychologist, your lived experience as a mum, and your deep empathy into tangible local change is a beautiful reminder of what one person can do when they dare to care out loud. Through every kilometre you run, every conversation you spark, and every child you aim to support, you are truly creating a glitter trail of hope, healing and community. Your drive to ensure local hospitals are kinder, calmer and more supportive spaces for children is a gift to so many families. Thank you for reminding us that sometimes the greatest acts of love begin with simply putting one foot in front of the other. I am so honoured to have shared this space with you today. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the very best for the future. Keep running with purpose. You are making a huge difference and leaving a massive glitter trail, which I love. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kate. So sweet.
Thank you for joining me, Kate Ganneil, on The Glitter Effect. If you've loved this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep showing up, making an impact, and sprinkling that glitter wherever you go. Bye for now.